entrepreneur is an individual or group of individuals who are having a particular innovative idea and takes every step to turn that idea into business and turn into profits while taking risk. While taking risk, we definitely have to make some choices. We humans justify our choices after some facts, and I understand that the line of reasoning which goes into this is something like this. I chose this, so I must like it. I didn't choose the other thing, so it must be not that great or really good. Having said this, I would like to quote Eleanor Roosevelt, First Lady of US. I am who I am today because of the choices I made yesterday. To make our choices, determination is very important. Determination inspires us to dream bigger and achieve more for ourselves. When we adopt hardworking, successful people as role models, we fuel our determination and stay inspired to create new goals. So, you have to believe in it before you see it. Welcome to Be the CEO of Your Life series on Manthan with Saraswati. After successfully running the festival series, doctor series, educational educator series, and discussion with people who have shared various experiences and vision on this platform, I am now inviting the youth who have taken charge of their life to come and share the knowledge and experience to guide and empower the youngsters. Today is the seventh episode of the series, and there is many more to come. Today on Manthan with Saraswati, we are very happy to have Rahul Taparia. A very warm welcome to you on Manthan with Saraswati, Rahul.
Hi, thank you, Miss. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be on this show.
It's a great pleasure having you on this show. But before we start, I would like to introduce you to our viewers. Okay,
Okay, sure, Miss. Yeah.
thank you. Thank you so much. Rahul is a co founder of the GameChange Solution. The first offering, ShopKey, helps the SMEs and the enterprise sales rep sell easier and better VIA and chat social media applications. Prior to Game Change, Rahul was a part of top management team at Tokopedia as a vice president of Fintech business, also leading strategic collaborations with OVO and GoPay. He was also senior engagement manager at Mckinsey and Company, during which he served top banks as well as tech unicorns in the Southeast Asia region. Rahul studied economics at the LSE, that's the London School of Economics, and did his MBA at INSEAD Business School. He grew up in Jakarta and has a passion for badminton. Once again, we are very, very happy to have you on our show, Rahul Taparia, and welcome to Manthan with Saraswati.
Thank you so much, Miss, for this warm introduction. Pleasure.
Okay. So, with your permission, can we hit the conversation?
Sure, Miss.
Okay, Rahul. So, whenever we have such brilliant guests with us, my first question would be something like this. See, you have worked at McKinsey and Company, leading strategic collaborations with OVO and GoPay, being in the top management team at Tokopedia. What inspired you to develop your idea to become an entrepreneur and co-found Game Change Solutions?
Sure. So actually, Miss, I always had an itch to do something of my own and an enterprise of my own. Um, and I'm not sure if many people here know that before my McKinsey days, I even started my own restaurant business. So I started a restaurant in India, and I ran it for about 2 years. And the restaurant was doing moderately fine, but I soon realized that it's a business that's probably not as scalable as I would like, right? And with technology coming in, I quickly realized that that is something that I would want to put my hands on, because that is something that can bring a lot of scale to my aspirations of being an entrepreneur. So even though I left that business, the seeds of initiating something and then executing it and delivering it, and handling the operational aspects of it was sown in those days.
Mm-hmm.
um, as I moved along in my career, my first post MBA job was with McKinsey,
Mm-hmm.
and there I think I grew a lot of confidence, because that's where we worked with senior management of big companies in Southeast Asia, as well as challenging markets like India, Hong Kong, that I had the good fortune of working with, and presenting them on topics and advising them on impactful topics was something that grew my confidence quite a lot. That they would listen to me, they would follow my advice. That was something that kind of showed that I can. If they are willing to hear me out, then that means there is something that I bring to the table. And finally, as the kind of career progressed, interestingly, I got the opportunity with Tokopedia as helping them establish a business unit in itself. So the Tokopedia was already doing great that time, but it was still, I would say, relatively early days. And they wanted to establish the Fintech business unit, right? So I started with a team of 10 folks, and then grew it to about 120 people. And it also became a profitable business unit, a highly profitable business unit. Again, kind of, multifold, increasing my confidence of growing a team, right? Even though,
Mm-hmm.
so, entrepreneurship is not just about, completely starting from scratch and
That's
independent on your own, but it also comes in the form of being part of a corporate or being part of an enterprise. If you're taking on something and then, making it reach to heights, that's also entrepreneurship.
right.
So having delivered those numbers and those sort of P&L, holding a P&L, that again gave me a lot of confidence. So that was related to career wise. And I just want to add, like, there was also this idea itself that gave me a lot of energy and drive, that there is something, this is something that I believe has potential, and kind of became a drive for me to take that challenge on. And I was also blessed to have some early investor support, right? So that kind of definitely reduces the risk that everybody thinks of, leaving a very a prestigious, comfortable job and going for entrepreneurship. But if you have the kind of support of investors, then you yourself feel that it's not just your imaginary thinking that the idea is very good, but actually others are buying into it as well. So that sort of led me to think and take this step of doing my own startup.
Wow, great to know that your creativity, your passion, your aspiration, and the way you took risk has actually helped you decide and reach the goal which you have already you are into. So Rahul, when I was researching about the entrepreneurs, because I'm a teacher, so when I want to know about an entrepreneur, I did some bit of research, and I did get to know that there are three types of entrepreneurs: the creators, the builders, and the operators. And it's so nice, and I'm so feeling good that you started your journey, and you have achieved so much in life. To that, I didn't know that you owned a business and you tried to run a business in India. You had a restaurant down there, so which again shows that you always desired to do something on your own and to stand on your own without answering anybody else, right? You have started your journey, and it's just going on. So my question is related to that. And how do you feel as a co-founder of Shopkey? And what's your final goal you have? I know the goal is not going to be short term; it's going to be long term. But if you can share with us that what's the
So,
goal and how do you
so
feel about it?
so with Shopkey, let me just kind of describe quickly what Shopkey is, and then I'll share a little bit more.
Mhm.
So Shopkey helps small merchants or individual merchants um, create their online store, right, in less than 30 seconds, and then give access to that store in the place where they need the most, which is while they're chatting up with their customers. So it's a play on chat commerce, which is a growing industry where people are engaging on WhatsApp and Instagram and doing all kinds of commerce activities there. But it brings a lot of structure and several sort of features that benefits the merchant selling journey easy online. So the vision with Shopkey that we have, Miss, is that we want to make commercial successes out of homegrown brands, small entrepreneurs, individual entrepreneurs, and really help them in their online journey end to end in Indonesia for now, and then eventually broader Southeast Asia as a region, right? So, it starts from store creation, but that is not the end game. You have to create they have to create their web store, and then they need to figure out a way to get traffic to their web store. They need to figure out a way to brand their products. And by the way, this can range, right? We have seen merchants from F&B to florists to servicemen to bakeries that are opening shops using Shopkey. So now our vision is to really help them drive for commercial excellence and success in their online journey, right? Now, in terms of how I'm feeling about that, I'm absolutely super excited about this sort of vision of ours. And we are not only serving SMEs, but what we quickly learned after I started this was that the sales reps of large organizations like retail chains, some of the known ones that we have started piloting with, um, these sales reps who are the frontline representatives are also entrepreneurs, right? So they
Yeah.
also, with the power of Shopkey, can promote the catalogs and the products. And so we are working with a lot of enterprises too. So
Mm.
the journey has been exciting, and of course, I wouldn't lie, there is a lot of pressure to kind of live up to the promise to,
Yeah.
especially as merchants. The reality is we just need to put your head down and kind of work and drive towards excellence without kind of significant importance to what others may be doing and what others are announcing on LinkedIn.
See, first of all, let me congratulate you on, having done so much and, the way you have discussed about Shopkey, because you are helping the small scale people who are, doing at home, like the bakers. And you mentioned about a lot of commercial success who are getting into it. But basically, I think Shopkey will be focusing on small scale people like florist, you said, like bakery people, you said, and which will be a true motivation that they will join you and you will be supported, right? It's said that the greatest glory in living lies in not in never failing, but in rising every time we fall. So, like you said, that you have just started it, there has been challenges. There definitely will be challenges, which I'm sure, I will be focusing on that in the next part of mine. But I just want to tell you that you are a great role model to anyone who is going to look up to you. And you know that if one is not courageous enough to take risk, he will never accomplish anything in life. So when you have taken such a risk, you are definitely going to accomplish so much in life, Rahul. So we're talking, you said you had challenges. So we would like to know what were your challenges, okay, in establishing your Shopkey? What kept you motivated? See, it is very difficult to keep yourself motivated when things are going bad, things are falling apart, or things are not working in the way you really thought they should work. So when you hit those low moments, what kept you motivated? If I'd ask you to share some three mantras, what would that be according to Rahul?
Uh, there have been plenty of challenges, no doubt about it. I think in general, uh, one of the challenges that you face day in and day out is obviously, with the way things are evolving. For content, you always need to constantly be updated. You always need to know what's happening in your field of work, and you have to be in depth about it, right? So you cannot do anything else but to just jump into the swimming pool to learn how to swim. So you just jump into it, go deep into it to really understand your topics, your market, your industry, your competitors, and so on. So that's how we kind of mitigate the daily challenges of knowing the latest and greatest in whatever we are doing by jumping and keeping yourself up to date about it. I think the other biggest challenge, which I think every startup faces, but I truly recognize the scale of it, was recruitment. Right.
Hmm.
When I was at Tokopedia, I recruited a number of people. Right. I mentioned we scaled the team, but very honestly, I did not. I was spoiled for choices. With a brand like Tokopedia associated, I could, I had a for every role we could interview 3 4 people, shortlist people, and then pick the one that you like, sort of thing, and that was all good. But in a startup um, where your brand is yet to be established, not many people know about your brand and what you're trying to pursue. there's a lot of selling involved, right? You don't get enough choices. You really need to, completely hunt on LinkedIn, and you're also not in a position to pay expensive big bucks to headhunters.
Mm.
So your kind of work, your effort in finding talent really increases. And by the way, talent is something that makes or breaks startup, right? So you have to be very, very selective and smart on your hiring. So that is something that we face even today, or like big challenges in hiring. Then that's where you want to inspire them on what the problem that you're trying to solve, and also hopefully with your kind of background and your personal story, and that sort of becomes kind of an aid that they believe, if they buy into the fact that somebody with prior experiences in established companies have taken a leap to do this, then that makes it a bit easier.
Mhm.
So those would be kind of the challenges that we face day in, day out. And in terms of course, there are other market level challenges, growth not being as per what you want, month on month numbers not being achieved, or missing targets. It's very, very common, right? So it happens. And for dealing with those low moments, there are a few things I would say, right? The mantras. Number one that I've learned is that, life is definitely not a race, it's a marathon, right? So everybody has a different trajectory to reach where they reach, right? There's no single defined way. Yes, during school days, there is a defined structure, grade one, grade two, grade three, and then
Yeah.
undergrad, masters. But then once you kind of get into the career life, everyone has taken different routes to reach wherever they are, and not necessarily people are applying their own degrees. So we should not be swayed by, right? We should feel good if if your friends, your colleagues, they've kind of achieved something, then it should not be that, hey, I'm lagging behind, but it should be more like a reminder that, look, all it takes is a day, a month, or a year to kind of a blockbuster year to kind of turn it all around. And that was one of my kind of key advice to the youngsters as well. I think the second thing that I feel that youngsters today, or everybody, should keep in mind is create different facets of your life also. So career and work is one facet of your life, but there is also a social life. There should be a community life. There should be a sports life. If you have these different facets of life and you're kind of down in one, then at least you have the other three pillars supporting you and keeping your morale high. So that is something, as far as possible, I try to do. Like, I try to ensure being close to family. Finally, I would say that one more thing we can look as is constantly kind of finding inspirational people in life, right? And there are plenty of those, especially even if you think about the Indian community in Indonesia, right? There's, everyone has gone through their roller coasters, their ups and downs, and achieved and still done super well. So, I mean, constantly reminding ourselves that there are people that have been through similar journeys, I think, can help you boost the morale. Yeah.
Yeah. So, friends, you are listening to Rahul Taparia, co-founder of Sharpkey, and according to him, the three factors which kept him motivated through his low moments, or it is still keeping him, motivated to the situation and to the circumstances which he faces. He says, "Life is not a race; it's a marathon." So don't get defined by just one trajectory path. Don't be swayed. Just move on and keep in mind that success you will be achieved one fine day. Don't compare yourselves. Create different facets in life so that you are occupied when you're feeling low. You have other things to look in also to create a deviation and then focus back. Third thing would be finding inspirational people to support. And yes, friends, have them around you. Inspirational people are so important in life that when you hit low, they are the ones who will really bring you up, right? Was that fine? All the 3 points you wanted to say, Rahul? Is that
Absolutely,
uh,
absolutely.
okay? So, Rahul, because we are talking about your startup, so my question is like there are some startups which really do very well, and there are some which just sink. So, in brief, what do you think the reasons could be for?
Sure. So I think, and this was again an experience in the first couple of months. We realized that For any startup, it's just like a car, right? A car which has four wheels, and all four wheels sort of need to work together and go at the same pace, and to kind of move the car forward, right?
Mm-hmm.
The moment one kind of wheel also falters or is punctured, you cannot move forward, right? It's the same goes with startup. There are so many kind of aspects of it, and all have to work in sync to kind of truly deliver exponential and extraordinary results, right? And this can be from product market fit, whether the product and the market is fit for each other. Are they complementing each other? Is the problem genuine, and does the product live up to the promise in solving that problem? So the product market fit is absolutely crucial. Is the marketing and PR intact? Like, is the strategy on marketing and making sure the communication that is going out to the target audience is intact? And by the way, not just the target consumer or merchant, whomever you're targeting, but the communication has to also be in the form of your potential talent that you're trying to hire,
Mm-hmm.
potential investors that you're trying to target. So all that needs to also come into line, whether you are kind of putting good SOPs, processes in place in your company. It's early days, but nonetheless, it's very important, because if you lose that, then you kind of may make wrong decisions, not looking at the data or not looking at the reality of it. So all these things, if they work together, it's something that kind of delivers great results. And some of the startups that have done well in this, they have been, it's not that the founders themselves have executed on all those four brilliantly, but what they have done is they have associated themselves with a group of people, a group of talented people that cover all these bases very well. If
Mm-hmm.
you have entrepreneurs that are covering these bases very well, then kind of you have a flywheel of success possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the startups that do well. um, I also want to highlight here, though, that 3 to 5 years to kind of establish themselves, keep iterating in the market, going with a product. If they get it wrong, go again, like revise it, and try to enter it again, and keep doing testing, experiments, and learning to evolve the product. That's been very, very common. And then after 4 or 5 years, they kind of get the investor buy-in, and then have the kind of formula. Once you get the formula, then it's quite easy to multiply it by 100 or
Yeah.
10,000 or 100,000, right?
Yeah.
What is the formula to make it work for 50 or 100? That is what is important. But what is happening more recently, also in the last 2 years, we are seeing is that you're getting exponential results in 6 months or even 1 year
Mm-hmm.
uh, of certain startups starting. So that is something that can build a lot of pressure, because something which you plan for 3-4 years to kind of establish and gradually kind of go about it, and then you have some players that are announcing exponential growth in kind of no time, then it can sway you. So that's where, again, my advice holds true, which is that life is a marathon, not a race. Everyone has a different trajectory.
Yes.
you know it's important to kind of focus on what you have. Otherwise, it's very easy to buy downloads or buy kind of users. It's very common, it happens also. But then what's the point, right? Markets turn around, liquidity that is flourishing in the market right now dries up, investor money stops. Then what's going to happen, right, with all
Yeah.
the burn that some of these startups will be doing? So focus on what matters to you, on your and kind of principles.
Right. Listening from you, young people, all I'm getting to know is when you enter this market when you enter into the startup, it's patience, which is really important. And like you said, that life is a marathon, not a race. And never let you go down comparing yourself with the others. Like we were talking about in the previous episodes, we were talking about the Shark Tank, which is so very popular in India, and people, all the entrepreneurs are jumping into it. But like you say, no, you should not be comparing yourself with the ones who are growing up, scaling up really very fast. But you need to have your that strength to hold on and improve what you want and reach a desired level and scale up at your level, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you so much, Rahul, for sharing those amazing thoughts, and inspirational thoughts also for a person, for a young person like you, to say that we should not compare ourselves with the others and stay grounded and stay focused. That itself needs a lot of work to stand firm like that. So I'm so proud of you, Rahul. Thank you for sharing this amazing thoughts with
Thank
us.
you. Thank you.
Moving a little bit from your startup to some other discussions, which we have planned, is like in this present era of technology, it's very empowering. Every aspect of life and every field, be it education, be it medicine, be it consumer related, it's social, economic, everything. You know how technology is revolutionizing the financial sector is also amazing. See, I listened from Mr. Suresh, the impact of technology on, in your finance. So finance has also made so much progress in this use of smartphones for mobile banking, investing, borrowing services, and cryptocurrency, right? So my question to you, Rahul, is while fintech has empowered more and more people, what do you see as the benefits and threats of it? And what are the opportunities for the young people wanting to make a career in fintech?
No, absolutely. I think this whole space has become super interesting, and for a reason, right? Like finance and banking and these sort of sectors were kind of traditionally considered more of the kind of support center and more kind of boring, if I may say, for the large majority of people. Of course, there are some people that are kind of passionate about it, but I think just from a user experience point of view, right? Like a consumer experience point of view, it never kind of gave a delight, right? It was never a delight factor. I think what technology has helped do is change the story and made it a lot more about customer experience, customer journey, and those kind of brought a lot of first principles thinking into the world of finance, right? And made it question: do we need this step? Do we need to do this? Do we need to have branches? Do we need to have these 20 pages documents of signing for opening an account or kind of getting a loan? And kind of thinking from first principles, what is really required and what is really kind of needed for security purposes, for compliance purposes, and kind of focus on user experiences. In fact, there are even branches, traditional branches are getting converted in terms of the model they're approaching.
Mm,
They are hiring for staff people with retail experiences rather
mm,
than people from prior banking experiences, because
mm,
they again want to give a very unique experience to people that walk into the branches these days, which is more friendly, more approachable, more personable. So fintech has kind of bringing in a lot of promise to turn a traditionally boring sort of area to something which is more tangible, more understanding, and more for the vast majority of the people. From my own experience at Tokopedia, we launched several fascinating products, right? So there was one product which gained a lot of momentum, was investing in gold, right, for as low as 500 rupiah, right? Everybody finds gold a safe haven, wants to invest some of their money
mm,
in gold, but obviously the ticket sizes are big. If you go for a physical gold, not the vast majority of people can afford investing, and everybody wants to save in the form of gold.
mm,
So by some collaborations with some of the companies like Pagadayan, which is a state-owned gold enterprise, we collaborated and we launched a product of with 500 rupiah, just 500 rupiah, you can invest in gold. So it became a very like promoting micro savings and micro investments. So
mm.
this is the sort of excitement that fintech has brought in, right? So this is at the vast majority kind of masses level. On the other extreme, you also have the more sophisticated people that are going after other investments like crypto,
Mm.
which has gained again lots of ups and downs. It's not for the weak-hearted, obviously. It's
Yeah.
somebody with a lot of experiences. We and even in terms of simple like equity investments, even
Mm,
equity investments with so many apps and applications coming where giving simple advices and a good user experience and simple tips, people are encouraging more and more people to invest. Those are the sort of things that are coming into the world of fintech. I can talk at length also about the whole growth of open banking and open finance, but obviously leave that to some
yes, yes.
other day. Yeah.
And so that they know what exactly fintech, you know, means to them. And for example, if you have to take me, I still mess up with my password. And I So, yes, like you say, you are bringing technology into finance.
Fintech world has become so open and so no, so I the point one of the key points that I want to make is that because what fintech has done is become more like a backdrop to a user journey, right? So if somebody has an engineering background or a doctorate background and doesn't understand finance, the point is he doesn't need to understand finance, because now the fintech is being thought of from a user journey and user experience point of view. It's been thought of from first principles. So something that makes logical sense is something that is being delivered, right? So if people want to open a bank account or make investments, they're making very very simple asks for making, opening accounts, or giving tips, and how to invest money. It's kind of handheld. It's
Mm,
handheld across the way. Same goes with the investment, the gold example that I gave of
yeah,
helping normal
Pardon.
non-sophisticated people do gold investments at micro ticket sizes. So that's what fintech is bringing to the table. I think to your last point on the potential risks of this. Yeah, absolutely. Like, I mean, there are for sure risks, because there have been banks and traditional institutes that have built um, financial services offerings with a lot of compliance and rules and regulations in place for a reason, right? Because we are talking about people's money. Now, if these fintechs are coming in and they are taking down these walls
Mm,
to help make the process more efficient, if they are taking these by replacing it with something more efficient and easy, then it's great. But if they're taking it down altogether, then it does expose people to risks too, right? I'll
mm,
give you one example, maybe that will help. There are some apps, for example, that promote users to invest in equities, and the way these are designed is for psychologically overweighting people on buying equity. So
mm,
the buy button would be prominent, it will be green in color, red
mm,
will be small and somewhere on the sides. So these sort of applications are also playing to the psychology of people.
mm.
So that can be a kind of potential risk, right? Whether when the person is making decisions not in a neutral way, but
Yeah,
being influenced in some way or form. Yeah.
yeah. I think, Rahul, I should thank you for explaining it so beautifully. I mean, very exceptional thoughts about, how we should go about equity. And so I'm so impressed by the way you have discussed this, that how fintech is going to be helpful and how it is going to serve people like me. I'm so happy that you're expressing, your thoughts on this platform, which will be helpful for many of us. It's not just for the youngsters, it's for many of us also. And one more thing I want to say, that I should say I'm so happy because you children who are coming up on this show, you are helping me in my mission. You grown up adults have taken charge of your life and you are sharing on this platform such amazing thoughts that it's going to inspire the youngsters, and not just the youngsters, but the way you people are going ahead, it is going to inspire we adults also. So thank you and God bless you for that. What you have expressed, it leads to my next question. What you talked about fintech and technology, that and last 2 years of pandemic, online activity that involves buying and selling of products and services, what we call e-commerce, has skyrocketed. And my generation is also into it, and it is very helpful and probably the best way to shop. How e-commerce has provided new opportunities for the young people in at least AI or data mining, coding. I don't want this to be very complicated, but in simple language, if you can just tell me, and how exactly e-commerce has revolutionized trade and commerce
Absolutely.
and empowered people.
Sure. Can I address the second part of the question first, and then
Sure,
I'll.
sure, 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 sure.
So, I mean, because this is at the very heart of what my previous employer, Tokopedia, was trying to achieve. The mission of Tokopedia was to democratize commerce in Indonesia, right?
Mm,
And it started with the founder himself being, grown up in a tier 2 town where he felt there weren't enough choices, consumer choices of purchase in tier 2 towns, right? A lot of good stuff used to be in Jakarta, not enough in tier 2 towns.
mm,
And second, also that there were not enough career opportunities, and a lot of people had to migrate from tier 2 or rural areas to go to urban areas. And this kind of has completely revolutionized because of the growth in e-commerce. Now,
Mhm.
because of the growth in e-commerce, those consumers sitting in tier 2, tier 3 towns can buy things that are available in tier 1 towns, right? So
Mhm.
suddenly the choices have gone up, prices have gone down, has become a lot more competitive. So
Yeah.
that's one. Number two, they can also become online entrepreneurs sitting in tier 2, tier 3 towns. They can open their online shops, and they can go about serving the entire Indonesia, not just their neighborhood, but the full of Indonesia with the power of these e-commerce. So this is one very, very clear kind of huge win that has come out of unlocking opportunities in Indonesia.
Mhm.
Um, Specifically talking about the talent and AI and the power of data, e-commerce is also trying to better itself day in, day out, right? In delivering, for example, personalized experiences to every user,
Mhm.
to really understand, even before the user themselves know what they want, trying to understand based on their uh, preferences and past buying habits on what is it that they could be needing, and putting it out there, right? And that's the power of data. It becomes super interesting. If I know that Miss Saraswati is a household of two, and she has bought miniac or oil or sugar or household stuff 15 days ago,
Mhm.
should I, in 15 days, when she opens Tokopedia, any e-commerce app next, should I show her that would you like to repurchase, right, your
Oh.
miniac or your household appliances?
Mhm.
That is the level of kind of detail or depth that the power of data can help and make it such a personalized experiences for consumers, right?
Yeah.
Um, Same goes with fashion and many other examples.
Mhm.
There are other examples too when it comes to, say, supply chain, right?
Mhm.
I mentioned about tier 1, tier 2 towns. If there is a merchant sitting in tier 1 and he's sitting in Jakarta, but he wants to sell in Malang, right? With kind of these e-commerce growing up, they are opening fulfillment centers,
Mhm.
warehouses in a lot of these cities.
Mhm.
Now, this gives an opportunity for tier 1 merchants or sub merchants to kind of stock up their products in those warehouses, so that if there is demand, they can instantly in a day fulfill, rather than the order comes in and it takes 4 or 5 days to ship. Now, how do they do that? That is through data, because through data they can build predictability models of what SKU, what item would be needed when, in which city, and how much quantity, right? Those sort of becomes very, very real, right? It's
Yeah.
not a matter of us data crunching, and then maybe some model will come out of it a few years later, and we'll see the implementation of it. It is very
Mhm.
real. You try to build a model around it, and you kind of deliver to the promise. Same goes for fintech world in credit scoring and giving access to credit to vast majority of people who do not have credit history or do
Mhm.
not have formal bank accounts. How do you make alternate data to score or underwrite a loan for a new to bank customer? So the possibilities are endless, Ms.
Yeah.
Saraswati,
Yeah.
for this field.
You know what, Rahul, I really want to express, my gratitudes, I would say. My children talk about data. My husband talks about data, not much, the finance world, of course. But my children, both of my children, they talk about data. And today you are talking about, they're giving an example that, yes, maybe with household thing, that miniac, what you just talked about, the oil. These are some simple things. But when you say that, it affects you. Yeah, probably that's why we get the notification, purchase this, purchase it. Sometimes it comes on certain apps. So, well, that was AI and data coming and, in search of sales or whatever you can say. But very interesting and intriguing thoughts, captivating, eye opening ideas and thoughts from today by Rahul Taparia, co founder of Game Change Solution. And it's really interesting to have young, impressive youth who have taken charge of your life to come and share your experience and learning to guide and motivate the next upcoming youngsters and people like me. Continuing with the e-commerce thing which we are just talking about. See, I know that when we compare the advantages and the disadvantage of e-commerce, right? When we talk about advantages, we can say that there is no geographical limitation to it, and it helps connecting people from across the world, and it's very low cost, and investment from the business point of view is also low compared to it. And you can, and it so happens that even Tokopedia, you just go and you just fill in just given a keyword and you have the list. So locate the product quickly, you know. But there are also disadvantages to
Mhm.
it, like when it comes to security, or it doesn't, normally ladies like to go and see and buy, so that luxury is off the table. And sometimes there is late delivery, or I was talking to my friend who said that she was trying to book a ticket and suddenly the site crashed,
Mm.
because of the so much of load on the site that the site crashed. And so many disadvantage of that, and security is also being one of the major. So my question to Rahul is, e-commerce along with its payment option has made consumers and traders come together, right? But what about the organized retail malls and shops that are closing down? How is it affecting the people who owns the shop and make their living by selling it in the shops only? So, what are your thoughts on that?
Actually, I have a lot of thoughts on that.
Mm,
And actually, that's one at heart of what we are trying to also solve for with our offering, Shopkey.
mm,
But I think before I come to that, I want to share a very interesting example. And the fact of the matter is that it is changing times, calling for changing habits and changing needs,
mm,
right? With the whole pandemic, the whole process of digitization going online, which was anyway happening, kind of just fast tracked, and to by I would say 3-4 years,
mm,
that people were suddenly kind of forced to adopt, whether they want it or not. And we had big brands that all went online, like things, imagine like Starbucks. We used to get our daily dose of coffee from just before going to the office, grab a cup of coffee and then
mm,
go to work. And now with pandemic that doesn't happen, but then Starbucks started putting 1 liter sort of bottles of coffee and selling on Tokopedia. And if you won't be able to believe it, but it is true, you can look it up. Even BMW
uh-huh,
opened their official store on Tokopedia during the pandemic. So we helped BMW open their official store on Tokopedia in month one in pandemic. We
uh-huh.
sold we sold about 40 units.
Oh,
So, so
interesting.
can you imagine? It's a time where people buying a BMW online, and that too
During
amidst
pandemic.
during pandemic when cars are not allowed on the roads. So,
Interesting.
so so everyone needs to adopt and kind of live to this model. And then there are solutions. Every problem calls is also an opportunity. That's something that we try to grab with Shopkey. Like I mentioned, we help these offline merchants also to create their own online store, their
Mm,
online dukan or online toko in
mm,
less than 30 seconds.
mm,
They have their own unique website, and then they can share away with their consumers. They can share away with their friends and spread the word through the power of WhatsApp, TikTok, Instagram, and all the social media at their disposal, and encourage those people to shop from their online store, which is
mm,
powered with payments and fulfillment, just
mm,
like they used to shop in the offline store. And frankly, this is happening. I have also visited a ton of kind of malls in the recent times, and actually, what you find is a lot of people just dug deep in their phones, right? So it used to be the case 3-4 years ago when we used to walk in those malls. People used to say "bole ya bu ba pa."
yeah.
They would be inviting, right? They would be inviting you to those
Yes.
bole and all that. No one is looking at walking like those customers anymore. They're all
Oh,
dug into their phones. As a customer comes, let him just see, and he's
go
just
away.
walking by. They don't care because they're getting tons of customers on the phone, and they have those few clicks to market their products on WhatsApp.
Oh,
So with that, they broadcast to 100 people in one go versus explaining to one.
yeah. So
But
true.
having said that, the offline would still very much have a role to play,
Mm,
right? But it'll be a different role. It will be more of an experiential kind of proposal, experiential, selling.
mm,
But it cannot be the only channel. It is something that will complement. the other channel, but it will not be the only channel. So for people like you mentioned that would want to come and try things in store, or want to pick up their products, or want to get something customized, that would happen, but cannot be the only channel. I think it calls for a
Change in
change in adaptation. Yeah.
yeah, like what you exactly said, that changing habits and changing needs is what has to be, imbibed and go ahead with business model, I would say, rather.
Yeah, exactly.
So Rahul, this now we are talking about e-commerce. We are so much, but if I have to reflect back to your old days when you were in school, you were a brilliant child. So if I have to ask you a question, that whatever you studied, you went to London School of Economics, then you did your MBA in NC. What was the most interesting about the education part? What did you enjoy?
I think I would say a couple of things. One is I enjoyed the kind of hard problem solving topics and subjects much more than opinion related or subjective topics. So, for example, when we are doing mathematics, IB maths, or in LSE economics also turned out to be extremely
Content oriented? Would be
content, extremely, yes, extremely, like and mathematical, right? I would not have expected so many of equations in when I went into economics, but it happened, and I kind of enjoyed that. And then of course complementing that with all that was happening in the school in general, about the extracurriculars, the getting people together, and putting up a drama series or putting up a dance talent time. We it's underrated, but the amount of joy, laughter, those practice and rehearsal sessions generated is something I look back fondly, right? And
uh,
it doesn't come again. Those moments, besides those hard knowledge, I think those just participation or being associated with that is something that is super priceless.
mhm,
And in this time and age where social media and all that, people building relationships there, my say would be equally pay a lot of attention, especially in those years, to in-person interactions and where you get a chance and all these events,
mhm.
because the camaraderie, the relationships, and the laughters that generate will echo a lifetime.
Do you still dance? Do you still dance?
Not professionally anymore. Not that I did that before.
I do. Okay, great. If I have to ask you, what are the 3 points you believe and you wish to share with the youngsters who are listening to you now or will tune in later? They would definitely love to hear it from you.
Sure. I have 3 points that I would like to share with. First, that I would like to share is, everyone should quickly establish their area of expertise.
Mhm,
And I believe it is okay to redefine as you go along. What I mean by this is,
mhm,
whatever passion that you may have on a topic or skill set, or any other thing that you find a lot of energy in, try to go deep in it and develop expertise and call yourself an expert in it, even though you're not an expert. Just
mhm,
call yourself an expert and think about it, that that fact itself will give you the pressure and the joy to kind of go deeper in it and learn it. It's
mhm,
very important in today's time and age for you to be defined or be known for something, and it's a good thing, right? Like if even if you are passionate about gaming, then like know what are the latest games, what goes behind the games, how are these games developed, what are the variations of it, what kind of human psychology is at play when these games are being developed. All these are super interesting topics, and in this age opportunities are kind of immense, right, in all fields. Whether it is on content creation, it's no longer just you have to be in engineering, or you need to be a chartered accountant, or you need to do this to do well.
mhm,
All these creative things also work, right? There is so much of content happening on YouTube, on Instagram, TikTok, and so many industries. So develop your expertise. It is okay as you go along that you change your expertise, but always be in the mind that, hey, look, I have this topic, let me completely go deep in it. If people ask me what I'm most passionate about, I should be able to have a conversation. I should be able to talk about it for a good length of time, right? It should not be superficial level questions. I should be able to do second, third, fourth level questions, conversations on that topic. And
mhm,
it's okay not to be a jack of all trades. If you don't know about details on the geopolitical tensions in the world, it is completely fine, right? You just focus on your expertise and kind of develop an expertise in it. I think that is something that will also just in general develop a lot of discipline in people. So that is one. I think the second advice that I'd like to give people, and this is more for young career starters, like, when you're starting off in your career, and so I tell this also to myself, by the way, right? I'm not kind of above all this. All these apply absolutely to me also. Is sit tight even during lull moments, right? All it takes is one blockbuster day, month, or year to turn it all around, right? And happens in everyone's career, that there are times when they're like, what am I doing here, right? Am I doing it right? Will I get a promotion? Will I progress in my career? What next? That friend of mine, after undergrad, he's got this much package in a job, or he has, kind of got another promotion, two promotions in just 2 years, and I'm here. Focus on what you have in hand and try to kind of do well in it. Circumstances and timing change. Nothing is permanent. So instead of being restless and kind of jumping around, yes, if you have a passion on an idea for something you want to work towards, well and good. But if not, it is also okay. It is also okay to just wait, take your time. Like I said, all it takes is one blockbuster year, day, or person to turn it around. And we have seen it live, right? I'm sure you have tons of examples where we have seen that people have been, so in 20 years in their career, and then suddenly one fine year, they get a tremendous thing, and it makes up all of the past 20 years. So just focus on what you have in hand and don't be swayed. Enjoy that lull moment. Fine, nothing exciting is happening at work. Get your excitement from some other facets of life. And finally, my third advice would be, focus on building relationships, not on building a network, right? And, try to treasure what relationships and people that you have, and go deep in it versus trying to increase your Facebook friend counts or likes on your Instagram post or views on your TikTok. I think it's great if those select group or your tribe that you have, you can know more deeply, know their successes, know their failures, and be also open. Be open about sharing your own failures as equally as your successes with your close groups and circle. I think that goes a long way in building character. Getting opportunities and success is not directly proportional to the level of connections or network that you may have, but the depth of relationship is definitely directly proportional to the kind of happiness that you may have in life. So that's my advice.
Wonderful. So Rahul, if I have to sum it up, just correct me if I'm wrong. The first would be establish your area of expertise. I mean, you can change it as you grow. The second is sit tight during dull moment. Circumstances and timings will change. The third would be focus on building up relationship. Possess it and preserve it. And don't go about your networking on Facebook and your likes on TikToks, which is a very superficial world. Not to believe in that. Rather than that, have your relationship with, which is so important in life, and make it stronger, right? So your open-mindedness is so inspirational, Rahul. I really appreciate the passion and for sharing these remarkable thoughts. When I finish my show, I always ask the guest, and I'm so honored to say that you're all my guests. What was your biggest aha moment?
Okay. So I know, I think for aha moment, very honestly, I'm not sure if I've had it yet. I hope I have.
Have it very soon.
Yeah, I hope I have it. But I think I've also learned from some of the readings that a great, kind of revolutions and that has happened not necessarily for a particular moment. It's a result of continuous iterations, trials, and just small progresses, small leaps is something that can equally take to those wow and revolutionary developments that we can't even imagine of. So I think I'm more of that phase where I'm making small leaps, small developments, and hopefully that will lead to something. I do not have an aha moment that has kind of projected
Not
me.
yet.
Yeah, not yet, at least at the moment.
Mhm. Little moment is what you would like to
Yeah,
say.
no, I really don't have any major kind of aha moment. It is just finding continuous excellence in these small tasks, small details that if one is trying to solve for in their product, in their proposition, in their idea, in their businesses. And it's these small things that makes wonders and turns things around, and creates virality. And that would be my take on this question.
With the passion and the determination and the kind of goal you have set, and I'm sure the way which you're working towards it with total diligence and total motivation in you, I'm sure you will be very soon blessed with that aha moment. We would love to be a part of that aha moment when it dawns on you. So wishing you all the best and success to you. So before I end, I would like to end my show with an amazing thought of Tony Robbins, an American author and speaker. Setting goals is the first step in turning the invisible into the visible. Friends, ponder over this and enjoy the weekend. Once again, I want to thank Rahul Taparia for taking his time out and sharing his intriguing and awe inspiring thoughts with us. It was truly splendid having you on my show. And I really want to thank Mr. Suresh for helping me to bring this talk show to you all. Kindly like the page Manthan with Saraswati. And this is Saraswati saying bye bye. And thank you for watching. Thank you, Rahul, once again being the part of this solution.
Thank you so much, Ms. Saraswati.